those of you that are tenants and your landlord recently increased rent without your notice, there's something you can actually do about it that is provided in the Nigerian law.
The court have mandated that before you increase the rent, renegotiate the rent or the fee that the tenant have been paying with him. If he accepts, then increase the rent. And if he doesn't accept, then you guys will always look for a way to go about it. As 1 year tenant, what the law says that you're entitled to 6 months notice if your landlord wants to evict you. Provisions have been made in the law. Just imagine an agent collecting legal fee. Are you a lawyer?
We saw a picture that went viral recently on Twitter and Instagram. Somebody that was paying rent of 600,000 naira posted that his rent has now been increased to 1.4 million naira. What do you have to say about such increase? Is it right?
Well, right or wrong is not what counts. Is it legal or is it legal or is it illegal? Now, from the provisions and judicial precedents in our law, even Recovery of Premises Act, a landlord cannot just, out of his own free volition or willy-nilly, come and increase rent. No. The most recent decision, I think, the case of Cobra Limited and Omole Estate, the court was strict and said, look, tenancy agreement or tenancy contract, it is a contract. Contract means it is between two persons. Before you effect any change in a contract, there must be renegotiation between the parties. Effecting change covers increasing rent. So you cannot come yourself as a landlord, increase the rent without giving prior notice to the tenant. So that's totally illegal. The court have mandated that before you increase the rent, renegotiate the rent or the fee that the tenant have been paying with him. If he accepts, then increase the rent. And if he doesn't accept, then you guys will always look for a way to go about it. But the one that a landlord will wake up one morning, I mean, to them, their excuses is that cost of living, inflation, which is totally understandable. This is where our laws, there should be laws regulating these things. There should be laws regulating how much should be paid on a particular distance for a particular years. But they leave it what they call trade practices and the rest. Shouldn't be so. Now look, our law says both, I think the laws that regulate housing is Urban and Regional Planning Act, Recovery of Premises Act, Land Use Act, even the Constitution. Now once you've increased rent and people can no longer afford it, you've denied them the right as provided in the Constitution of the right to own property or live anywhere they want to live. And that itself is unconstitutional and infringement of fundamental human rights.
So what can a tenant do about it?
Now, what you as a tenant could do if your landlord, out of his own free violation, out of his own personal desire, either out of greed or selfish reasons, increase your rent without negotiating, is to go to court and enforce your right. And tell the court, look, this person increased my... And people don't know that failure to pay rent is not a ground for eviction. So that you fail to, unless you've continually failed to, that because and there are procedures to this. According to our Recovery of Premises Act, as 1 year tenant, what the law says that you're entitled to 6 months notice if your landlord wants to evict you. Let's say you are unable to pay rent or one thing or the other, or due to renovations, your landlord wants to take over the property. If you're a 1 year tenant, that means you're a 12-month tenant. The law mandates your landlord to give you at least 6 months notice or eviction notice. After the expiration of 6 months, the law mandates that the landlord gives you 1 month notice. After the expiration of that and you're still there, then the law mandates that your landlord gives you 7-day notice of owner's intention to recover property. Now, once that is done and you're still not live, the landlord did not still have the power or the right to enforce right or approach it with the word of jungle justice. He will go to court and get a court order to evict you. So that's the process. But tenant doesn't know all these things.
But this law, I don't think is in favor of the landlord. A lot of you, especially those of you that are landlords, you might be angry this topic is coming up because bags of cement, gravel, sand, these things are now really expensive, and maybe you're not getting what you expected from the investments you put into it. But I think this video is also an avenue for you to understand deeply the risks of actually being a landlord, because some of you think that, oh, you're going into it to make money, but you should also consider what the law has provided. Okay, so this will really help you to make better choices. Do you think that this law is in support of the landlord? I mean, somebody has not paid me my rent and then I'm giving him almost 8 months.
Now,
8 months is like a huge loss to me.
Of course, I understand. Most times, if you check how laws are made to correct the ills of the society. Now, because of the autocratic nature of some landlords, because you feel that you are the one that owns the house. So laws will be made to protect the oppressed. So that's how some of this law come into play. The landlord, because he feel he's the lord of the house, can wake up tomorrow and throw you out because you feel. That's why provisions have been made in the law that say, look, even if you are the owner of the house, you are, even the landlord is not the overlord. If you check our land use act, our land use act say that all land, including the properties on it, belongs to the government. So the government is the overall lord of the landlord. So the government can even come and take over, even as we are in this property now. The government can come at any time and take it over. What the law says is that the owner of the house is just entitled to compensation. So the government can even take it for the purpose of public use and said, okay, just like the landmark property that was demolished in Landmark Beach, for the public use that they want to pass through coastal railway, and you cannot do anything. So of course I understand that the law, this particular law, is not in favor of the landlords, but there are laws, there are avenues for it. But landlords, I've seen this law also working against my clients that are landlords. I believe that they should be balanced. There is this my client now, he probably see this video, he lives in abroad and he has a property in Lagos, and this tenant have been there. He converted the property from his personal. The property was given to him and let him and his family use, because the man is a pastor and the wife, they converted the property to church. So the man,
wow.
Yes, I'm telling you. Now that's change of use, which you shouldn't do as a tenant. Once a property is illegal, now this is on the side of the tenant. Once a property, just like as I'm on this property, let's assume I rented this property for a private or for public, for me and my family to use now, and I converted it to a law firm, which is now public or commercial use. Now it is illegal. The landlord now have every right now to come and throw me out. And you yourself have breached the contract, because it happens often where some landlord will build houses and give to people to live, and those persons now will turn into service apartment. Now, the landlord have every right on that stance to evict such a tenant, because
immediately.
You've changed this. Once you've breached the contract.
Okay, what if in this tenancy contract that if you don't pay your rent, you leave it within a so period of time?
It doesn't matter now. Contracts are also subject under our laws. So if a contract is infringement on a statutory provision, now it cannot fly.
It cannot fly.
It can never fly, yes.
Okay, so what do you think tenants should do? Because a lot of people are having hard time right now. Some of you are in a really, really bad situation. Your landlord has increased rent almost times 3 of what you used to pay. And right now you are worried. What do you do? Where you are right now, you feel comfortable, you've made friends, you found it, like it's easy for you to move around, and you don't even have so much money, and you don't have the convenience to start looking for another place to go to. What do someone like this do
if you can,
to protect, where they are?
If you can, I think sometimes it's just to reach out to your lawyer, and your lawyer could reach out to the landlord and say, look, this thing is illegal. I won't advise such a person to start seeking legal remedies, because I know that legal remedies could be expensive. The money you use in paying a lawyer should be enough for you to pay at least 1/3, unless there are lawyers that do pro bono and stuff. Even we ourselves in this firm, if the case is appealing enough, let's say you are struggling and maybe where you're living, you're paying 100,000, and the landlord exponentially increased it to like 1 million. Of course, there are lawyers that can take up such a matters and reach out to a compromise. But the best thing is to always come to agreement. Of course, I understand. I'm a landlord myself. I understand how much things cost now to rent properties. But you shouldn't offset or offload all those things to an innocent struggle. We are all feeling it. Everyone is feeling it. So you as a tenant, you should also understand that this is your right. Landlord shouldn't increase the rent without informing you or negotiating with you first. If a landlord does that, it's illegal. It can go to court. And a landlord can also evict you because you fail to pay rent. And if a landlord wants to evict you, legally, you are entitled as a 1-year tenant, as a yearly tenant, you're entitled to 6 months notice. So that 6 months is given to you so that you have enough time to look for other properties, to have enough time to arrange money and pay and move out. So that is the provision of the law. It's unfortunate that it favors one person and the other person, but we cannot help it. That's what the law says.
Okay. So you've held it yourself. I think it's now your decision to decide if you are going to seek the services of a lawyer. If someone right now is dealing with an issue like this, like you said, there are a lot of law firms that give pro bono services. especially for cases like the pro bono means free services. So the reason of making this video is to sensitize people. Some of you are stuck in a limbo right now. You don't know what to do. You are stuck in a fix, and what you need is just this knowledge. Hopefully you get yourself a lawyer to come in an agreement with your landlord to help renegotiate your what's that thing called?
The rent.
Rent. How can I forget something like this? Your rent. Okay, so that is the purpose of having this video on social media. Speak to your lawyer if you feel that your landlord has increased the rent way above your expectation or your budget. It is very important to avoid having fights, to avoid having quarrels, to avoid damaging properties in a way of trying to revenge. Speak to your lawyer. Come to conclusion. It is still very possible for you to still retain that place you are, that place you've made friends. To go to the market is not far away. Your church is not far away. First station is not far away. Pharmacist is not far away. You can still be there. Just get a reasonable lawyer to speak to your landlord. Okay, things are difficult for everybody, obviously. So landlords are feeling the pain. Some of them, that's their only source of income. They have to send their children to school. They have to also keep their family together. So sometimes you don't blame them. But to be honest, some landlords are not literate enough to know what is provided in the law. I think that, Barrister Stanley, is there not supposed to be like an institution that is supposed to checkmate how much a landlord is not supposed to charge for a type of house? Especially here in Abuja, there are some places you go to and you discover that there are some places that you see house for 4 million naira, but the standard of living in that place is so poor. How is that even possible? And then there are some kind of houses you also discover that the house is 4 million naira, but they are just almost nothing, no facilities there. So are they not supposed to be like institutions that are supposed to checkmate these things?
Well, there are institutions. I think Federal Consumer Protection Commission is doing well enough. There are institutions that regulate this thing. But you know that Nigeria will run free economy or free market economy. That means let the market determine the price. Market determining the price means that it's subjected to the economic factor of demand and supply.
So if someone is willing to pay,
it depends on that, and that's the thing. In choice areas like Lagos and Abuja, or choice areas like where we are now, Maitama and the rest, you know that this is a choice area that people wants to. So let's say, will you say the same thing in the place if the house is located in somewhere like Suleja or somewhere like outskirts that the landlord is begging people to come and rent? Now, in those places now, the tenant is more like the one that decide what to pay or stuff like that. But I strongly believe that there should be regulatory laws that regulate the real estate market, especially in choice areas like this, because some of the prices you hear if you want to buy a property, if you want to buy land, if you want to pay rent, because it's in a choice area, they will be calling you prices. So, but I don't think the job should be left alone for the Federal Consumer Protection Agency. And as for the tenants, some tenants don't even know that the Federal Consumer Protection Agency are there for them. If you feel that you're being maltreated by your landlord, you are not getting back what you paid for. Let's say you paid for something and the landlord is not renovating it. You have every right to go there and report and say, look, or the landlord comes. Now, this is for those that cannot afford a lawyer. You have a right to walk up to, send a letter or go to Federal Consumer Protection Commission and say, look, I was paying so amount and the landlord wake up one morning and just increase the rent. They always take things like this up because they are there. You as the tenant here, you are the consumer. So they are there to protect you. I've seen them take up cases and handle it, and just for tenants that feel that they're being maltreated and cannot afford a lawyer.
Wow, I think this is valuable knowledge that everybody needs to know, because some houses are not even worth it. How can a house that does not even have POP, it's not even well painted, and then the landlord is not even putting effort to make sure that house is standard, is telling you that it's 4 million. Do you understand me? And he's not going to do anything about it. So if there are institutions that will take time to checkmate these things, I think that landlords will make efforts to make their house look good.
Definitely.
Because there are some houses you go to, the standard of the toilet is really poor. It is not even equivalent to the amount they are asking for. If you look at the environment, it is not properly tiled. The electricity is bad. The lighting is poor. Olden days lightning. It's not even modern. And you see these tenants are the one who have to use their money to fix the toilet, to fix the lighting, to fix everything. And I think that the reason why things like this thrive is because people are not informed. The internet is for only two purposes, for entertainment and for information. It is sad that majority of Nigerians come to the internet for only one major thing, entertainment. People should be informed. It is by information that we can transform our society and bring about reasonable change and development. We are supposed to be living in convenience. Do you understand me? So personally, I never knew that the FCCP, is it FCCP?
Yeah, FCPC.
FCPC is even responsible for something like this. If my landlord messes up, I promise I'm going to take him to FCPC. Don't worry, I'm joking. No,
This
FCCPC.
This should also be a clarion call on government. There should be regulatory laws that put in place that's okay. Houses, a 4-bedroom flat in a Maitama or in Gwarimpa should not go above or beyond this price.
This amount, exactly.
Yeah, so
and they are supposed to be setting standard that 4-bedroom should have.
Should be a standard. So I don't know.
Exactly.
The lawmakers and everything, hopefully they will see this video and say, look, people are feeling, the problem is most of them are even landlords themselves. So they cannot make laws that they could not be, they will not be selfless enough to make laws that will go against them.
But so, Mr. Star,
yes,
can we go to the House of Representatives and talk to somebody about this?
Definitely.
Can we have a meeting with somebody? Maybe I think that this House of Rep, they have different. They have the ones for committee for housing and all those.
But it doesn't matter. Any of them that you can reach out to can sponsor the bill and say, look, the people have been suffering. There should be a law that say, look, a social house, a 1-room self-contained in Gwarimpa shouldn't go above
society amount, and it should have this standard.
It should be standard. It should maybe POP. It should have nice
water.
Should be
this one and
law.
that. Exactly.
These are the things that people should.
Exactly.
So we have so much belief. Maybe someone could see this and pick interest and say, look, let's do it. Let's do this thing. Someone sponsor the bill and.
Another serious issue I'd like us to talk about is the issue of agents. Jesus Christ, these guys are so annoying. You have no idea. And the worst of it all is that some of them don't even live in town. Some of them don't even live in town in Abuja. They probably live outskirts of Abuja, like Suleja. Somewhere they are probably paying 70,000 naira per year. And then if you tell them you are looking for house, they'll show you one house. They'll say it's 4.5 million naira. You say, it's too expensive. They'll say, if you don't get money, come out for here.
I know those things.
Do you understand? And then they are telling that you have to pay them how much? 20%, right?
20%. Still pay them caution deposit.
Still
pay service charge. Still pay once they take total pack. Now these things are. I so much believe that this is the things that the lawmakers. Maybe after now we can even take it up and say maybe we sponsor a bill and say, look, all this agent, I see them as extortionists.
Exactly.
The extortionists, because of the house you do not build. And sometimes I've spoken to some landlord, they are not even aware of all these things. Telling you that you should pay service charge, you are paying it to them, not even to the landlord. Pay this one, pay caution deposit, pay agency and legal. Just imagine an agent collecting legal fee. Are you a lawyer?
Why you collect legal fee? It's
collecting
crazy.
Legal fee. So these things are some.
And most of these agents are not even registered.
They are not registered.
They are not even properly educated about the laws provided. And
I'm sure they don't have a union. They don't have any regulatory.
Nothing.
So anybody.
They are mostly touts.
They are extortionary. Anybody can just wake up and do this thing, and most of them are. Some can even collect your money. I've had cases that agent ask the person to pay into his account, refuse to remit the money to the landlord, and they started dragging themselves up and down. Then the landlord is asking the person that you've not paid me rent. The tenant said, I thought I paid to the agent. The landlord is saying, I don't know the agent. So these are the things. There should be regulation on these things. There should be regulation on the real estate market in Nigeria. Especially you see Abuja, you see Lagos, you see Port Harcourt. Those busy cities, they should, if not, people are suffering.
All right, guys. You've heard it all. I hope that this information is valuable enough for you. Use it to your advantage. That is the purpose of what we do here at Lucky Udo Studio. We are creating awareness and we are helping people to live a better life. Okay, and thank you, Mr. Stanley, so much for sharing this moment with us. We appreciate. Hopefully, we'll be coming back from time to time to make more videos with you. Yeah. And please, I'm begging of you, Mr. Stanley is a very busy person and he's working with a lot of people. I hope that nobody has to twist his word or the purpose of these interviews in a way that it affects him. Okay, and we are also looking forward to a partnership. Mr. Stanley is interested to give pro bono services to anybody who comes to my platform seeking justice and they do not have the financial capacity to chase this justice. So Law Capital is interested to give them pro bono service. This is something everyone should be excited about. This is a beautiful year 2025. I'm still looking for more exciting partnership and opportunities that will be beneficial to society through Lockheed Studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Stanley. God bless you so much. Let's say bye to our viewers. Thank you and bye.